This is the M3 paper from CCEA, and this one's from November 2023. So let's take a look. Part of a rail timetable is shown below. So we have these times. Amy boards a train in Nuneaton at 13:45. What time will she arrive in Blackpool North? So Nuneaton, and she gets on at 13:45. She gets to Blackpool North then at 15:36. How long does her journey take? Give your answer in hours and minutes. So it goes from 13:45 to 15:36. You can do this a couple of different ways, but I sort of like to just sort of make it up. So you're going to get 15 minutes here to get you then to 14 o'clock. Then between 14, so between 2 and 3, then that's going to be 60 minutes. And then you're going to have 36 minutes after that. Hope you're okay with that. So 15 minutes to get you from 13:45 to 14. From 14 to 15 is 60. And then we have then the 36 minutes to get you from 15 to 15:36. So that's 1 hour, and then the 36 and the 15 is going to give them 51. So it's going to be 1 hour, 51 minutes. So we put that in here then. 1 hour and 51 minutes. Question 2, calculate the size of the angle X. Well, we have a triangle here, and we know because that's a straight line, sometimes it's handier just even to cover up. Hopefully you can see straight line there, so that must add to 180 degrees. So I know that angle in there is 40. The angles in the triangle add up to 180. So X is going to be 180. Take away the 59 plus the 40. That gives me 180. Take away, if you add those together, you get 99. And quite a straightforward sum, I think. 180 take away 99 is going to give us then 31 degrees. Calculate the area of the triangle. Give the correct unit of measurement with your answer. So the area of a triangle is half the base times the height. So it's going to be a half times 9 times 5. You can do this whatever way you want. I tend to do the 9 times 5 first to get 45, and then half of that ends up then as 22.5. We're in meters here, so obviously for an area it's going to be meters squared, so 22.5 meters squared. Question 3. Where is that going? Sorry about that. A PE teacher recorded the time each pupil in class 11 I took to run 200 metres. The results are displayed in the stem and leaf diagram below. What was the median time taken? So let's see here. So median time taken in seconds. So we have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So if there's 21 people, you can do it a couple of different ways. Some people add 1 to the 21 to give me 22 and divide then by 2. So we're looking kind of, but the 11th person then is halfway through. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's a 26 and 20, and that means then 26.3. What was the range of the times recorded? So the longest one was 29.3 and the shortest one was 23.7. Again, you can just use your calculator here. Sorry about that writing. 29.3 take away 23.7 and the answer then is 5.6 seconds. The results for 11B are summarised as follows. The median is 28.3 and the range is 3.5. Use this information to say whether each of the following statements is true or false. On average, pupils in 11A were faster than pupils in 11B. Well, 11B, the median was 28.3 and the median then for 11A was 26.3, so those folks were faster. So 11A faster than 11B, that sentence then is going to be true. Pupils' times at 11A were more consistent than 11B. Well, but consistent means they're all kind of close to each other, and that's what the range tells us. So the range here is 3.5, and the range here is 5.6. So these ones are actually more consistent. So that one then is false. Question 4. A cashier counted the notes in the till. We have this. What was the total value of the notes in the till? So we have 12 £5 notes, so that's worth £60. 9 £10 notes, so that's 90. 3 £20 notes is 60, and then we have a £50 note. If we add these all together, 0, 0, 0, and then 5 and 6 is 11, 9, so it's 260. So my answer then is £260. From the list, here's my list here, which is a multiple of 12. Well, 36 is going to be our multiple of 12. Which is a power of 2. So with 2 to the power of 1, which is 2, 2 to the power of 2 is 4, then 8, then 16, then 32. So are any of those numbers in there? Well, 16 is. So 16 is our answer for that one. Question 6. Rebecca has 5 kilogram sack of rice. She pours the rice into smaller bags, each holding 360 grams. How many bags can Rebecca fill completely from the sack of rice? Now we need to be very careful here. Remember, this is grams and this then is kilograms, so it's actually going to be 5,000, and we divide then by 360. If you do 5,000 divided by 360, you get 13.8. And then that 8, I think, kind of repeats itself and heads on through. So how many bags can she fill completely? The answer then would be 13. Sue bought a 10 kilogram bag of rice. She thinks the maximum number would be exactly double. Using the 5 kilogram, is Sue correct? Well, let's work it out. So it's then 10,000. And we're dividing by 360. Again, if you put that into your calculator, you get 27.7. Repeating 27.7, so it's going to be 27. So the answer then is no, because 2 13s enter 26, and it's going to be 27 complete bags. And I suppose you could write, say, 13 times 2 does not equal 27. So Sue isn't correct. On then to question 7, and we have a wee bit then of algebra here, so let's take a look. Simplify this. We're going to join together our like terms. So we have a 5x here and a minus 7x. So 5x take away 7x is minus 2x, and then we have a 2y and a 4y, so that's plus 6y. So it's going to be minus 2x plus 6y. Expand. So we have 4 times 3, that gives us 12, and then 4 times minus 2p is minus 8p, so it's 12 minus 8p. Factorise. So what common factor? 5 and 15, so we can take out a 5, and then 5 times what gives me 5k, that's going to be k. 5 times what gives me 15, that's going to be 3. So it's 5 upon k plus 3. And then factorise this. So there's a c here and there's a c squared here, so we can take out a common c. Careful with this one. C times what gives me c, it's not 0, it's 1. And then c times what gives me c squared, so it's c upon 1 minus c. On to question 8. A packet of biscuits contains X biscuits. In a special offer, an extra 2 biscuits are added to each packet. Write an expression in terms of X for the number of biscuits in each special packet. So that's going to be X plus 2. Alice buys 3 packets in the special offer. Write an expression in terms of X for the total number of biscuits she will have. So it's 3 times X plus 2. So you could either go 3 upon X plus 2, they would allow that, or you can multiply that out and it would be then 3x plus 6. Each packet of biscuits cost t pence. Alice buys her 3 packets of biscuits and pays with a £5 note. Write an expression in terms of t for the change in pence she will receive. Well, if she buys 3 packets of biscuits, then the cost is going to be 3t. And if she pays with a £5 note, work it out in pence. So it's going to be 500, take away the price of the 3 of them. So it's going to be 500, take away 3t. Question 9. A lorry needs to be driven 156 miles to a ferry port. It needs to arrive at 4 p.m. The lorry is driven at an average speed of 48 miles per hour. What is the latest time the journey should start? So we have here a distance, which is 156. We have a speed, which is 48. And we're trying to find a time, then, which is distance over speed. So if we do time is 156 divided by 48. You can see that okay. 156 divided by 48. And we get 13 over 4 and 3.25. So the time then in hours is 3.25. So that, you need to be careful here. That's obviously not 3 hours 25 minutes. That's 3 hours. And the 0.25, remember, is a quarter, and we're dealing with hours. So it's actually 3 hours 15 minutes. So if they need to be there by 4 p.m, 3 hours before that is 1 p.m, and then 15 minutes before that is going to be 12:45. So 12:45 is the time. That's the latest time then that the journey can start. Harry wanted to investigate the relationship between how much money people spent on fuel for their car and how many miles they drove. To get some data, he decided to post a survey to some people for them to fill in and return. Describe a possible problem with Harry's method of collecting data. Well, to get some data, he said to post a survey. Well, I mean, if you get a survey and post it many times, you actually fill it in, so you mightn't get kind of too many in return. Or the other thing, if he sends it to kind of some people, they might need to be drivers, so something like that. So one of their answers actually in the mark scheme is may not be returned. He posted the survey to 10 people. Explain why it may be unwise for Harry to draw any conclusions from this data. Well, 10 people is no good, that's not enough. Can't make a judgment on that, and then if he only posted to 10, you know, he might get a kind of fewer back. So that's where we are. Circle the correct word to describe the data Harry collected. Well, that data is quantitative. Question 11. The scatter graph shows information about how many times a day people check their phones. And we have this here. Hopefully that's okay. What's the greatest number of times somebody checked their phone? So along the bottom here we have age and then the number of times. So the number of times is going to be up here. So there's 150, there's 160, and there's 5 week things there, so that must go up in twos. So it's 152, and that then is going to be 154. I'll flick back and forward here between the two. Alright. How many times did the person aged 49 check their phone? So, let's see. 49 is going to be here, so we could go up here and see the 49 person, and I think that's them there. And so across here, it's halfway between, so that to me then is going to be 55. Describe the correlation between the age of a person and the number of times they check their phone. Well, the shape of this data, as this one goes up, the other one goes down, so that's known then as a negative correlation, and they're working for the word negative. Write a suitable sentence to describe the relationship between the age of a person and the number of times they check their phone. So because of the negative correlation, so it looks like the older you are, the fewer times you check your phone. Insert the correct word to complete the following sentence. The data point 60, 102 is an, well, it looks like it's going to start with a vowel, doesn't it? Because it's an. So there's 60, 102. That one's sitting way out from the rest of the data, so that's known then as an outlier. Okay. Question 12. Solve x over 4 equals 12. Well, I'm going to times both sides here by 4. And I get x is 48. Here, I think your best move is to get rid of the smallest letter. So I'm going to take away 2y for both sides. Now, people have different ways of doing these, and it's just the way I do it. So take away 2y from this side gives you 3y plus 3 is minus 9. I want to get the y on its own here, so I want to get rid of this 3. Take away 3. That gives me 3y is minus 12. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And I'm going to get y is minus 4. So the answer I'm looking for then is minus 4. Pete's wage was £480 last week. 72 was for working overtime. What percentage of his wage was not for working overtime? So we need to work out how much he got for not overtime. So that's going to be 72. And then taking that away, that gives me then 408. And we want that then as a percentage. It's 408 over 480 times by 100%. And again, if you put that in your calculator, so hopefully you're okay with that. So it's 408 divided by 480. I would hit equals actually, and then times it by 100, and you end up getting an answer of 85. So that's 85%. An English exam consists of 2 papers. Paper 1 is 85 marks available. Paper 2 is 80 marks available. To pass the English exam, a student must get 2/3 of the total marks. Dave's percentage in paper 1 is 60%. How many of the 80 marks does he need in paper 2 to pass the exam? So we need to get 2/3 of the total marks. So again, a couple of different ways of doing this. So 85 plus 80 is 165. And we want then 2/3 of that. So you can divide it by 3 and times it by 2. That's totally fine. But 2/3 times 165. So he needs then 110 marks. So that's how many marks required. So what do we say? Dave's percentage score in paper 1 is 60%. So he got, let me see, 60% of 85. So you divide this by 10 and times by 6, whatever way you want. The way I would find 60% of something, I divide it by 100 and then kind of times by 6. If you divide by 10, you get 8.5. If you times that by 6, then you get 51. So he needs then 110, take away 51. So he needs then 59 marks in the next paper. Now they don't ask you for percentage or anything, they just ask you the amount of marks. So 59 is our answer to that. Question 15. A sports referee trains by running diagonally across a rectangular pitch as shown in the diagram below. The referee wants to run a distance of at least 1 kilometre. How many diagonal runs are needed? So we need to find this distance here, and hopefully you can see we're going to use Pythagoras for this. If I label that C, this A, and this B, then C squared equals A squared plus B squared. C squared is 85 squared plus 110 squared. C squared is 19325. Again, I just put that into my calculator, 85 squared plus 110 squared, and then to get C, we need to find the square root of that. So this gives me 139.014. So that's how many meters it is. So we're going to divide that then into 1,000. divide that back in. If you can keep the number in your calculator there, that helps as well. But you get 7.193, and that sort of goes on from there. So how many diagonal runs are needed? So 7.193, 7's not going to do it, you need more than 7. So our answer in this case then is going to be 8. Find the area of the kite below. People do this different ways. You can sort of see it as a big rectangle, and actually the area of the kite is exactly half of that. So our area is going to be a half AB, or 9 times 4, or something like that. So it's going to be a half times 9 times 4. You can be clever about this and just do it in your head. If you work out half of 4, you would get 2, and times that by 9, and so the area then is going to be 18. So my answer then is 18 centimetres squared. A company took 42 employees on a team building day. Each person was able to choose which sporting activities to do and whether or not to have lunch. The Venn diagram shows what choices then they have made. How many people did not take part in either of the sporting activities? So climbing, abseiling and lunch, those people were all kind of part of that, so it's going to be 4. How many people did not have lunch? Then it's going to be 5 plus 3 plus 7. See, they're not part of the lunch. Adding those together, then you get 15. The cost for someone to take part in one sporting activity and have lunch was £16. How much did the company pay for people who took part in one sporting activity and had lunch? So who took part in one sporting activity and had lunch? Not these people, they did all 3. So one sporting activity and had lunch isn't that one there and that one there, so it's just the 9 and the 2. So the 9 plus 2 is 11, and then 11 times 16 gives you 176 pounds. Question 18. C has the coordinates -2, 4, and D has the coordinates 8, 7. Find the coordinates of the midpoint of the line CD. There's a few different ways of doing this. There's a formula and things like that. So I'm going to do the formula and then talk you through a different way of doing it. So you can go x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. I'm calling this coordinate 1 and this coordinate 2. So if I add the x1 and the x2, I'm adding the x coordinates. And of course the x coordinates is the first one. So -2 plus 8, be careful here, gives me 6 over 2. y1 plus y2, 4 and 7, that gives me 11 over 2. So 6 over 2 is 3, and 11 over 2 then is 5.5 or 5.5. Either of those are good. The other thing you can do is just find halfway in between -2 and 8. Halfway in between, so -2 and 8, if you think about the coordinates, they're 10 apart. So if you go 5 either way, you'll end up there at the 3. And halfway in between 4 and 7 is a wee bit messier, but you end up then at 5.5. You can do that method as well. Question 19. The graph represents the fare in pounds for a taxi journey of a distance in miles. Down at the bottom then, Paula was charged £8.40 for her journey to work. How many miles did Paula travel? So it was £8.40. So let's see if we can draw it on there. So that's 8, and that would be 9. So it looks like our £8.40 is going to go across here. So with my ruler, going that way, and then that seems to hit around, I think it's nearly halfway between, no, maybe it's exactly on that. Let me see. Yeah, exactly on the line. Let me go there, and so reading that off then at the bottom, it's going to be 5 miles. What is the cost per mile charged by, sorry, you can't read that. What is the cost per mile charged by the taxi firm? Well, it looks like it just kind of £4.50 to kind of go from there to there. So we need to work out the cost per mile. So how much is it going up whenever we're kind of going across? So let me see if I can find 2 decent spots here. There's other ways of doing this now, but effectively you want to know kind of the charging in per mile. So if I do this wee bit here, this is just one way of doing it. You can just work out the cost per mile if you want. But on this one here, I can see that to travel between 2 and 7 miles, so that's 5. So to travel 5 miles, it's going to cost £4. So let me write that in. 5 miles is £4, or if you want 400p. So 1 mile, if we divide then the 400 by the 5, we would end up then with 80p. So 80p is my answer then to that. Question 20. Raymond's car insurance quote is $1,200 for a year. He's entitled to 30% off for his no claims discount. If he pays online, he gets 5% off this reduced price. How much will the online price be? So a couple of different ways. So you want to work out 30% of this and take it off. You could find 1%, times it by 30. You could find 10%. I'm going to find 10%. I think it's easy enough to do. 10% of this is of course £120. So 30% then is going to be £360. So if I do take away 360, I think then I get 840. Now there's other ways of doing this. You get times by 0.7 if you're feeling particularly clever, and that'll work it out too. And then 5% off this. So 5% of 840. Again, I think I can do this in my head. 10% is 84. So half of that then would be 42. So if we do then 840 take away 42, my answer then is going to be 798. There's loads of different ways of working out percentages. This is just the way I decided to do it. Raymond's father says the total discount is 35%. Is he correct? Well, let's work it out. 120, we want 35%. Sorry, not 120, 1,200. Let's just do this one kind of normally. So 1% is going to be 12. 35% is 12 times 35. Which is 420. And if I take that off, take away 420, that gives me 780, and that's not how much he paid. So the answer is no. Question 21, find the lowest common multiple of 60 and 36. Many ways of doing this one here. I'm going to do it by primes. So divide by 2, you get 30. Divide by 2, you will get 15. Divide by 3, you'll get 5. Divide by 5, you get 1. So 60 then equals 2 squared times 3 times 5. 36. Divide by 2, you get 18. Divide by 2, you get 9. Divide by 3, you get 3. And divide by 3, you get 1. So 36 is equal to 2 squared times 3 squared. So it's the biggest amount of each one. So the biggest one here is 2 squared, so it's 2 squared. Biggest one here is 3 squared, and then times by 5. 4 times 9 times 5 is 180. I mean, you can just use your common sense as well. Just go up in 60s and see whenever 36 divides into it. That's fine as well, but whatever method you want to use. Question 22. The rectangle has length x plus 5 and breadth x plus 2. Working an expression for the area. Well, area we need to multiply this by this. It's x plus 2 upon x plus 5. I use FOIL for this, and it's controversial, but let's do it. X times x, x squared, outer, plus 5x, inner, is 2x, and then plus 10, and that gives me x squared plus 7x plus 10. looks like we have the right things going on here. So it's x squared plus 7x plus 10 is the answer they're looking for. Question 23. A force of 240 newtons is applied to a brake pad with an area of 0.2. Find the pressure. So the pressure then is going to be force over area, 240 divided by 0.32. Again, put that in your calculator and you get 750. Question 24. A circular pizza is cut into 6 equal slices. The pizza has a diameter of 10 inches. If 2 slices of pizza are eaten, what area of pizza remains? Goodness. So here's our pizza, terribly drawn. And there's 2 eaten, then we need to find the area of that. So there's a couple of different ways. I'm going to find the area of the whole pizza. Let's go over total area, and it's going to be pi r squared. So that's pi, and remember it's times 5 squared. So it's going to be 25 pi. And again, you might want to put that in your calculator and get, I think it is 78.5398, I think, or something in and around there. Whatever way you want to do this, you could divide by 6 and times by 4. You could divide by 3 and times by 2, or you could find 2/3 or whatever. But 2/3 is the bit that we want, so it's 2/3 times 78.5398. Again, good to keep that number in your calculator, and if you put that in, you get 52.35 square inches of pizza. On to question 25. Calculate the interquartile range for the following data. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we're finding the median, we're going to be cutting off there. That means the quartiles are going to be half of this, so it's here and here. So we would do 31, take away 25, so our interquartile range then is going to be 6. At a barbecue, there are 3 options: steak for £8.50, chicken £7.95, vegetarian £6.20. 30% choose steak, a quarter choose chicken, the remaining 36 choose the vegetarian option. Calculate the total spent on these options. Okay, well that's 30%, that's 25%, and they add then to give you 55%. That means 36 people equals then 45%. So that means 1% would be 36 divided by 45, and it's 0.8. And so 100% means then there's going to be 80 people. So I've worked out the amount of people there are. So for steak, it's 30% of 80. Again, we can do that in your head. If you want to find 1%, that's fine. Divide by 100 times by 30, all good. You find 10% is of course going to be 8, isn't it? So 30% is going to be 24 people. And it's 24 people times £8.50. Chicken is a quarter, so it's a quarter of the 80 is 20 people times 7.95, and then the vegetarian option is 36 people, and that's times £6.20. So we need to add up those 3 numbers. So 24 times 8.50, 20 times 7.95, 36 times £6.20. Adding those all together gives us £586.20. Question 27. Show that this plus this simplifies to give this. So each stage we are working. To add two fractions, we need a common denominator. So 2 goes into 6. So I'm going to times top and bottom of this by 3. What's what I'm doing now? So it's 9x minus 3. That's me times the top by 3 and the bottom. And so we have that. Now we can join this top line. So 9x minus 3 plus 11 minus 7x all over 6. And then I'm joining together the like terms. 9x take away 7x is 2x. Minus 3 plus 11, be careful there, is plus 8. All over 6. And then everything here divides by 2. Or if you wanted, you could factorise out the 2. That might be a wee bit more complicated. But it gives you x plus 4 all over 3. I believe then that's what we were asked for. Question 28, we have these lines here, 1, 2, 3, 4. A, B, C, D are 4 straight lines. C and D are parallel. Yeah, I can see that okay. The equations of these lines are y equals 4x, y equals 5 minus 4x. Use this information to find the equation of the fourth line. Y equals 4x, if we do our y equals mx plus c thing, the y-intercept here is 0. So this must be the line y equals 4x because it's going through 0, 0. Y equals 5 minus 4x. Well, first of all, that's a negative gradient, a gradient of minus 4, and it crosses at 5. So this must be our 5 spot up here. So I think that's 5 there, that point there. And so that then is going to be my line A. So y equals 5 minus 4x. The line y equals 5 is this line going across here. So the last one we need to work out the equation of is this. And it's parallel to this one here. So it means it's y equals 4x plus or minus something. And we know the y-intercept is 5. So it's y equals 4x plus 5. And that's line C. So line C is y equals 4x plus 5. Tricky enough question there. Question 29, that's us done. 90 apprentices sat an engineering examination. The cumulative frequency graph for the results are shown here. Use a graph to estimate the median. So we need to go across then. If it goes up to 90, the median then goes at 45. So as accurately as you can. I don't have the sharpest pencil here, but we're going across there. That's not bad. I'm reading that across. So that's 30 and that's 40. I think then that's going to be 38. So we have that. The pass mark was 34. Use the graph to estimate how many apprentices passed. So we got to go to 34 here. So it's going to be up to here and then across here. Right. So we've gone up at 34 and we've gone across, hopefully you can see that, and that's hitting there at 36. But that actually means 36 got lower than that. So we need to do 90, take away 36. And if you work that out, you get 54. And that's us done.